Hey, Nick family. Welcome to the Queen's Court. I'm your host, Stephanie. Today, we're going to do an Atlantic Division preview, and then we'll talk a bit about the first preseason game tonight. I am super excited about it. Let me bring in the panel. We got Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruisers. We got DJ Shuttle from 108 Soul. Listen, if you haven't already, Friday nights from 8 to 10 on iHeartRadio. I don't know if you're on another radio, but I know you can find it on iHeartRadio 108 Soul. DJ Shuttle laying it down, particularly if you like a little old school hip hop, R&B. That's the place to be Friday nights. How you guys doing?
Oh man, she hit me with the sway intro, Tony. You heard that? She hit me with a sway intro. I'm feeling that. I'm gonna have to bottle that up and put that on under a promo somewhere.
Clip it.
That's right. There we go.
But thank you, Steph. But we on iHeart, we on 108 Soul app, Amazon, iTunes, you name it. We're on every platform that you prefer to hear your music.
So instead of pulling up the app, I could just say, Alexa, play 108 Soul. Come on.
Well, you can say,
holding back. I could have been doing it. I gotta get the app out. I gotta try to
Hey Siri, hey Alexa. I don't know what people's preferences and what they have, so I just kind of default to the iHeart thing because it's a good brand. It's a good brand that they're out there. Hey, I'm on iHeartRadio, so I kind of default to that.
Okay.
But yeah, Alexa, Siri, play 108 Soul.
Oh, that's real. That's easy.
Easier. Easy, lemon squeezy.
Yeah. Sam, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited, man. We back. I'm excited. I can't wait to get going, man.
Yeah. It seemed like this was a long off season. And maybe because we didn't have Donovan Mitchell news like we had last season or whatever it was, it just seemed like it was super long.
Right. It was super long. I mean, it was just the news was just slow.
Yeah.
Everything, man.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Well, today we're going to do the Atlantic Division review, and then I want to talk a little bit about the game coming up. Tony stole all of my questions on his show earlier, like hot takes and all of that, which is what I had here. So I got to come up with something else, but no problem. All right, let's get right to it. This is the Atlantic Division depth chart. All right, let me see if what I can do with my image. Maybe I can move over a little like that. All right. So I got this depth chart from ESPN. I'm not sure who's going to start. It's so early in the season. Things can change with either team, but it's pretty accurate in terms of who's on the team. And we could talk about the Knicks and how our rosters match up, how we match up as a team, and just your thoughts on the division series. So let's start with Boston since we're playing them tonight. How do you think the Knicks overall match up with Boston?
Who are you starting with?
I'm gonna start with Sam.
Start with me. I mean, I think like player wise, I think we match up. I think we match up well with them player wise, right? Or let me not say player wise. They have more talent. They have more firepower than we do. No doubt about it. But I think, like they say, styles make fights when it comes to boxers. I think that's how we match up with the Celtics. I think we can bring aggression, right? We can bring physicality, and I think we can match their physicality and go above and beyond their physicality as well. So I think we're a good matchup. In the end, I think they have more firepower than us, right? So that gives them the advantage. But I think we're a good matchup with them. I think Holiday and Brunson offset each other. Randall and Porzingis offset each other. And now you got Brown and Tatum, right? So you always need one of your starters to be able to match up with Brown or Tatum. Then I think on the bench, we have a guy quickly and DiVincenzo that can come in and take advantage of their bench,
Right.
right? And give us an edge. So, I think it's a good matchup. In the end, I think the Celtics have a little bit more firepower than the Knicks, though.
Would you say, Sim, overall, more so in the starting lineup, or that their firepower in the starting lineup is so much that even if our bench is stronger, it just overpowers the bench. Like that's just how good their starting lineup
And,
is.
and I kind of feel like the starting lineup is so strong because it's so strong and it fits together really, really well with Holiday and Porzingis there. As long as Holiday becomes the starter, I think it fits together really well. Where with the Knicks, and so when you can close with that starting lineup, right? And they probably will close with that starting lineup. With the Knicks, their closing unit is going to be, probably mismatched a little bit based on who's playing well, who's defending well, and with their closing unit may not have as much, may not fit together as well as the Celtics closing unit. Let me say that because you might end up having quickly in that closing unit, or maybe sometimes Dante DiVincenzo. So I think their closing unit, because I think the games will be tight. But then in the fourth quarter, when you come down to those last 6 minutes, they're gonna have, I still think, more firepower. But I think overall, I think the Knicks are deeper overall, but they're top heavy.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Tone.
Um, I'm gonna look at it from a different perspective and say, how do we beat this team, right? So
Hmm.
for me, um, I spoke about this earlier, talking about their weaknesses, and one of the things that stuck out to me was their toughness down low. Um, but to take it a step further, or just to be more specific in how we could beat them, number one would be dominating rebounding. I don't think they're going to be a great rebounding team, this particular team. So for us against them, that's going to have to be one of our strong suits, similar to what we did all last year, where we stayed in that top five in offense, but it was based off of how many shot attempts we got to kind of balance things out. So that would be a advantage for us to beat them, I think. And I'm not talking about tonight. I'm speaking like in general throughout the season. Out rebound them. Use that physicality, because I think that that's another area where they're shaky at. As far as matchups, I think we do match up well against them. We have over the past couple of years. I think Porzingis will help them in that sense, because now you got two bigs that could kind of stretch the floor. But I think that their bigs are still very thin. So if we can pound them, if we get them in foul trouble, if we could just out hustle and muscle them, I think those are our advantages for this particular team.
Sorry about that. DJ Shuttle, you muted.
Yes, I am. So I'll double down quick on what Tony said. I think the toughness and the boards. I look at this team like to me, like the Cavs last year were really a more talented team, in my opinion. But being able to outmuscle them and out rebound them in the playoffs is how we're able to defeat them. And obviously, this Boston team on paper is more talented than that Cavs team. But again, to Tony's point, that would be kind of the strategy and how I'm thinking to attack them. I gotta double down on Sim too. He said something about if Holiday starting. That's kind of wild right there. I can't
He
imagine
didn't start
Holiday not.
the preseason game though. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not everybody's like Tibbs and like us, where every game counts. And he's an old head, so he's new to the team also. So I don't really see how that's gonna really be a thing. I mean, I mean, looking at this lineup, I mean, it's even more terrorizing than I thought. Looking at it, I mean, if Porzingis, I mean, if kind of just everybody's healthy, everybody's on their game. I mean, I feel like Randall could kind of nullify the Porzingis effect, but RJ, to his point, has just proven to be such a weak defender, and Tatum is such a baller. Like, to me, that's just like a wild advantage. Robertson and Horford I feel like is more or less a wash. And even though Brown is good, it's not like he's wild off the dribble. And Grimes is a good defender. So,
Right.
I mean, and then with the bench, their bench being kind of weak. I mean, granted, with a lineup like that, you don't have to put more than two people off at a time. Like, I think sometimes people have this thing in their mind, like your bench is going to put all five bench players in, and you're going to take all five starters out. Like, with a lineup like this, you're probably never going to really do that. So they're going to always have quality players in on the court. So it's tough, but it's not like they're unbeatable as I look at it, with the matchup. So I expect to see some tough battles, and I'm hoping that the cohesiveness of the Knicks is what helps to make a difference.
Right. I'm gonna stay with you, DJ Shuttle, and then I'll go up. What do you think about the division series, the season series, I should say? We played them 4 times. I meant to check that before, 4, maybe even 5 times, right?
And in our bracket.
Right. Let's just say we played them 5 times. What's the season series?
Yeah, I mean, if it's Boston 3, Knicks 2, that's fair enough.
Okay.
I think we could all feel respected by that kind of output and that type
I
of
think it's 4
type of
though,
series.
right? Because
I
last year
think
we beat them 3-1, right?
Yeah, I think we played
it's
in
usually it's
Four,
four
four.
for your
Okay.
division.
So I'm sorry. What do you have? You would say what?
I'd say, listen, you're gonna get at least one, and I mean, why not 2? Let's put it 2 and 2.
All right, Tone.
I'm gonna say 2-2, if not 3-3, 3-1 us, because
Oh wow.
one, we play them early in the season, where I think now when we talk about that continuity, it could play an effect in our favor. I think part of the reason Holiday didn't start or may not start is because he has to be acclimated in and learn the plays and learn the systems, and so that could be a slower start for them as well as even though I ain't gonna lie, KP looked like he fit in seamlessly. Oh, but they still may have to adjust to that situation as well. So I think we could get them early just because of that situation, us coming back and knowing each other and them figuring each other out. So I'll say at minimum 2-2, but I wouldn't be surprised 3-1. I think we play them twice early in the year.
Okay. Sam, you can answer that question, but also if there's an individual matchup you're looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be 2-2. I think throughout the season, like injuries, all that kind of stuff is always going to come into play. So I definitely think the Knicks will. I think the Knicks will get 2. Um, I also think that. What was the second part?
Is there an individual matchup you're looking forward to seeing over the course of the season?
Between these two teams, definitely Randall and Porzingis.
Hmm.
Right? When Porzingis was traded, Randall came in. So, there's always going to be the comparison between the two. And obviously, since Randall's been here, the Knicks have made the playoffs a couple of times, so on and so forth. And I want to see Grimes, his defense against,
Mhm.
like a Tatum or Brown, whoever Tom Thibodeau has him guarding. Right. And then Brunson and Holiday.
Yeah.
Brunson and Holiday. That's going to be, that's a
That's an
holiday.
old school matchup. That's an old school matchup right there.
That's a battle. That's a battle right there.
Oh, can I give a sleeper matchup?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
IQ and Pritchard.
Mm.
Mm,
Okay.
You know what I mean? The battle of the second unit. Pritchard just got paid. There's implications there too with with IQ's contract situation. I'm sure now they got, you got that reference point, and then you got San Antonio Vassell's reference point as far as like a
Right.
window of where they're gonna pay him. But that's a good matchup. That kid's been balling. Obviously, IQ's been balling. So yeah, I like that matchup off
Yeah.
the bench.
DJ Shuttle, before we move on to Philly.
Listen, RJ Barrett, you want to be a top tier guy. Like all you people that want RJ to be a top tier guy, Tatum's a top tier guy. That has to be, for me, that's the matchup.
Wow.
Like Grimes is too he's a great defender, but he's what, like 6'4"? Tatum is 6'8". Why am I putting Grimes on Tatum? RJ, you need to be on Tatum, and you need to ball out against Tatum. Get him in foul trouble. Like, make him work hard on defense so he doesn't score so well on offense. To me, that's the X factor matchup, because even though Holiday plays tough on Brunson, you could kind of feel comfortable Brunson's going to get his. Horford and Mitch, that's pretty much a wash. You kind of expect Randall to get better out of Porzingis. If you want to win this matchup, RJ and Tatum is the key matchup to me.
That's tough. That's a tough assignment for
And I'm not saying he has to outplay him and he has to kill him,
right.
but
Right.
like, it can't be Tatum is shooting 70% from the field and scoring 35 points, and you're scoring 16 and you're shooting 39% from the field.
Right.
It can't be that.
I like that.
Okay. Make it tough for him. Make it tough for him. Raise your game a little bit and make it tough for him.
Yeah, like, I mean, come on. Tatum's an all-NBA player, and I don't have these unrealistic aspirations of who RJ is. But, don't let him be all-NBA on you, and you play like, you on the, the park, the blacktop all-stars. Like, you got to bring your game.
All right, let's take a look at Philly now. It wasn't until I pulled up the depth chart that I was like, wow, they got Patrick Beverly, Kelly Oubre Jr., and Mo Bamba. When did that happen? Because I was like, the Knicks could take them, and they still can. There's a lot of dysfunction over there, but they really, filled out their bench. Paul Reed was there last year, so was Melton. Pat Beverly, Oubre, and Mo Bamba. I'm not saying they're all world players, but they're serviceable, bench players. So just your thoughts on the Knicks matching up roster-wise and overall with Philadelphia. Tone, we'll start with you, then we'll go to Sam and DJ Shuttle.
So this is what I realized watching the Sixers last night against the Celtics. They play without Embiid, number one. But number two, they're still a formidable opponent in the East. Like, all this James Harden talk and all this talk about the atmosphere and how that can mess things up. They got a nice squad over there, even if Harden sits. They got a young kid who's not on your depth chart. I don't remember his name. It begins with an S. I think it's like Singinger or something like that. Stinger.
Springer from Tennessee.
Yo,
yeah, the guard from Tennessee.
He gonna be all right. He gonna be all right. I still think we match up with them day in, day out. The biggest problem for me with them is Embiid. I don't know that we really have a true answer for Embiid. But everybody else, I think, like, we match up well with. We could probably win any other matchup. I'm assuming Harden is not going to be on the team or on the team and not playing. So any other matchup, I think we could win man for man, but we don't have an answer for Embiid. So there's still going to be a formidable opponent.
Yeah, DJ Sim.
Yeah.
DJ Sim.
You know, we don't have a matchup for Embiid. You know, and I think that's the he's MVP type player. We don't have a matchup for him. He's big. He can he can shoot a three. He can go out the dribble. Some he can handle the ball a little bit. It's just a tough matchup. He can post up. Tyrese Maxey, like without Harden, Tyrese Maxey's going to have a chance to, like really do his thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a tough matchup for a guy like Brunson. You probably wouldn't have Brunson on him, right? You probably have Grimes on him. Tobias Harris is always good. So he's a guy, he's a tough matchup for the Knicks. If RJ Barrett's guarding him, that's a tough matchup. If Randall's guarding him, that's a tough matchup. You know what I'm saying? So even without Harden and with Embiid, I still think this team is,
Tough.
they're still tough. You know what I'm saying? They're still tough. And then, like you said, Patrick Beverly on the bench, Mo Bamba. They got Kelly Oubre. I mean, they got some guys on the bench that can defend too.
Right.
And Pat Beverly and Kelly Oubre and that Melton obviously can hoop.
Right.
So this is a team that I think they still believe that they're right there with Boston and Milwaukee. I think they still believe they're right there.
Yeah.
And losing Harden could actually be addition by subtraction. You get rid of you get rid of all the drama, and your defense probably gets better. And offensively, you could say, well, we lose Harden offensively, but if Maxey can step up, Harris still does his thing.
Right.
They're still a tough team. They're still a tough team. How we match up with them, I've never liked our matchup with Philadelphia, to be honest with you. We've always struggled with Philadelphia. Every time we played them, it's been tough. But I do think the Knicks have more chemistry. Are going to have more chemistry. We don't know yet, but are going to have more chemistry. I think they're focused. I think they got the right kind of focus. I think this is one of the teams. The Knicks got a couple of teams in the Eastern Conference that they got to prove that they're better than, and I think Philadelphia is one of them. And like they know that, like Miami's one of them that they know they got to prove. Philadelphia, I think, is one of them that they know they got to prove they're better than. To get to that, to step up to say, okay, well, we're top 3 now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Philadelphia has a new coach. For those that don't know, Nick Nurse is there. So maybe it takes some time with a new system to come together. But I agree with you, Sam. When I was watching them last night without Embiid, without Harden, I'm like, damn, they look tough. They look like a tough team. And if they do trade Harden, and I believe Harden will be traded, Maxey might be ready.
Yeah.
He might be ready to take the next step. And Tobias Harris, there was talk in the offseason by him, I think, that his game had kind of not necessarily took a step back, but that was just the role he was in.
Yeah,
So
Nurse said he wants to expand. See some more things from him.
right. And he's done it in the past. But
Mhm.
I think with the addition of Harden, he had to sacrifice and he had to take a step back. But I remember Harris and Randall dueling, and you was like, who was the best player? This was a few years ago.
Yeah.
I think Randall has established himself now. But the point is, Harris has that level. Now, can he get back to that? We shall see. But he's a tough cover. He's a tough cover as well. DJ Shuttle, anything on us? And then you can also answer the question in terms of the division series.
Shout out to Tobias Harris, Long Island. We'll give him his love right there. But yeah, I mean, Philly's a tough team. I mean, hopefully Harden is getting the Evan Fournier jokes and he'll be home drinking with Evan Fournier somewhere. And and they have to slide probably Kelly Oubre into the starting lineup. That would make it better for Harris. That would make it better for Maxey. And if Embiid is healthy, I mean, it might make it, like you said, addition by subtraction. That could be overall better cohesiveness. I mean, obviously, Embiid is a beast, and Mitch can't do anything to stop him. So it's tough. It's really, really, it's just tough when you got a guy that's that unstoppable down low and from the 3-point line. So, Philly is like one of them teams. It's almost like, I hate to even say it, but like when I look at Philly's team and I look at Boston's team, as powerful as Boston looks, I almost would rather play Boston. All things being equal. So, yeah, I mean, so Philly's tough.
Philly, you can argue, has a better bench than Boston.
Oh, I mean, from 1 to 9 or 1 to 10, I mean, you got an MVP. I mean, if Harden got over whatever he's dealing with and he's on the team, you got a guy that is, 10 assists a game. Maxey is an emerging player. And you got the toughness in Tucker, the type of player that many of us in the Knicks, universe of saying we need a guy that can, set a certain type of tone out there. Mm-hmm. And you got a glue guy like Harris. Like Harris is what I hoped RJ could be. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need you to be a star. Yo, yeah, we have Harden, we have Embiid. Yo, we need you to take a step back, shoot less, rebound more, play better defense, be whatever we need. And they have that with Harris. They have their tough guy. They've got their speed guy and 3-point shooter in Maxey, and they got their beast in Embiid. So, and you had crazy Patrick Beverly and not scared Oubre and, Melton, who, shown he can score, Mamba, who's capable, and this guy Springer looked like, he could definitely be an NBA player too. I mean, like, you got a roster. You got a full roster here without really any holes in the star lineup or the bench. So it'd just be interesting to see what happens with Harden. And I don't know, like Sim said, this is one of those teams like you need to prove you can beat Philly. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion, but you could almost understand conceding not beating Boston. But if you want to ascend and you want to be top 4, top 3, and it's like, yo, we here, then Philly, Cleveland, Miami, these are teams that you have to like go 3-1 against most of those teams.
Yeah.
And I just looking at that lineup, it's hard to see anything more than 2-2 for me.
Okay. Tone and Sim, just the division matchup, and if there is the division series, I should say, and if there's a particular matchup you're interested in seeing.
Yeah, I too, I can't see any more than 2-2. So just to give the Knicks the benefit of the doubt, I'm gonna go 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
To give them the benefit of the doubt. As far as matchups, man, who started last night for Philly?
That's what I was gonna say. Pat Bev starts. If Harden's not gonna be with the team,
starting.
Yeah. So Maxey moved to the 2, or they shared that duty.
They played the guard spot. Who started in? Because they were like a few minutes in, 4 minutes in. Who started for Embiid?
Paul Reed.
Okay.
Paul Reed. I do want to see Mitchell Robinson and Joel Embiid, right? Because I'm measuring Mitchell Robinson as far as him being able to defend a guy like Joel Embiid, because I think that's going to be a big determinant on how well the Knicks are able to play against Philadelphia, right? How well can Mitchell Robinson defend Joel Embiid? Can Julius Randle dominate against Philadelphia? I mean, you're talking about a guy like either PJ Tucker or Tobias Harris guarding them. I still remember when Randle made the All-Star game his first time, Tobias Harris was mad. And when the Knicks went to Philly, right after Julius Randle was named an All-Star, like Tobias Harris went off and he hit, I don't know if it was the game winner, but he hit a major shot and he yelled out like, who's the All-Star and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
And
remember.
you know, and I want Julius Randle to dominate whoever's guarding him, Harris or Tucker, to dominate that matchup.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then whoever is left is guarding RJ. Like Shuttle said, RJ's got to prove that he can play with that he can win his matchup with these guys. Or, if he's playing a guy like Tatum, you know what I mean? He's probably not winning that matchup, but he can, be a factor, against a guy like Tobias Harris. You got to play him even or better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things these are measuring sticks now for RJ. You know what I mean? And that's going to help determine where the Knicks are in the season. How well can he prove that he's in the class of these guys? Because I don't know if he's in the class of Tobias Harris yet. Tobias Harris has done a lot in the league. You know what I mean? He's a good ball player. I would have loved to have Tobias Harris on the Knicks.
He's an expiring too.
Yeah. So RJ's got some things he's got to prove too. But yeah, that Mitchell Robinson, Joel Embiid, Julius Randle, whoever's guarding him. I'm not worried about Brunson. I think Brunson is gonna, he's gonna normally get his when he steps out there on the floor.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I have Hart twice for those who are asking in the chat, because I think the Knicks are pretty much locked into a 9-man rotation unless something changes. And I have Hart backing up the small forward and power forward position. That's why I have him twice.
For me, I'll go 2-2 also. And my matchup is just like a personal thing. I don't know if we'll see it unless Brunson has to miss the game, but it would be IQ and Maxi, just because I've been trying to figure out who's better out of the two for a couple years now. Actually, since the draft, to be honest, I was trying to figure out who was better. So I would like to see them go head to head at one point this season and kind of give me some clarity, because to me it's really about roles and opportunity and things of that nature. And obviously they have different roles on their team, so that would be a matchup I would like to see.
You know what? Maxi has size, and I agree with you. I'm not sure what the answer is, but with Maxi's size, you can argue if he was on the Knicks, he might start. I think it's the size. Part of it is the size issue, and I think the other part of it is, quickly plays better with the ball, and if you have him in a lineup with Randall and Brunson, how will he be able to be himself? But Maxi, I could see Maxi starting, because this is somebody who can play on the ball and off the ball. Quickly can too, but Quickly just seems to be more like he just has to. He's at his best with the ball in his hands, and I think Maxi can do it both ways.
I agree. That's his biggest advantage, head to head, or just comparing the two. But I think Quickly has some qualities that he doesn't necessarily have too, that may offset each other. But yeah, that I like I said, coming out of college, I was wondering who was the better out of the two of them, because they kind of split minutes in college as well.
And just for the record stuff, Quickly is listed at 6'3", Maxi is listed at 6'2".
Really?
Yeah, but he's bigger.
Yeah, that's.
I wasn't talking about height. I was talking about like he's more muscular. You know what I mean? Like
stout. Yeah.
Wow.
But wow, that's interesting. I thought they were about the same, and I thought maybe Maxi was taller. But that's interesting. All right, let's move on to the other two in our division, Toronto and Brooklyn. Brooklyn, for whatever reason, is not centered, but we'll ignore that.
Atlantic Division got to be in the East. It's got to be the best division. I just want to throw that out there. Like, we're crazy.
In parentheses, I should say that's where the team finished in the Eastern Conference last year. So for Toronto, we got Schroeder. I'm guessing. I don't know. OG Ananobi, Barnes, Siakam, and Portal starting with Flynn, Gary Trent Jr. I think it's Gary, right? Gary Dick, Boucher, and Achua coming off the bench. I thought Toronto underachieved last season. I thought that was pretty much the same team the year before that finished third or fourth. So I thought they underachieved last year. And though they finished ninth, I still see them as a good team. So I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park for the Knicks either. But we'll start with you, DJ Shuttle. Just your thoughts on the roster comparison, the team comparison. Yeah, your thoughts on Knicks Raptors
Well, um, I'm happy
Brady.
to see the coach go. I'm happy to see the coach go. I feel like the coach has had the Knicks number. I'm happy to see Van Vliet go. I just felt like he had the Knicks number.
Mhm.
So I'm happy for the changes. Um, I think Barnes is the future of the team. Um, and I'm hoping that no matter how much they beat the Knicks, if they beat the Knicks this year, I'm hoping that they don't do well otherwise, and it becomes the fire sale that I expect it to be.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, due to our circumstances pending, we're out of the OG sweepstakes in that fire sale. Um, you know, but as far as matchups go, I mean, I think this is one of the teams that, as good as their team is, I think that we match up very well with. I think we have, despite FIBA Schroeder, I think we have an advantage at point guard. Uh, Even though the center is good, I think we're at least a wash, if not a win at center. And as good as Siakam is, I'm taking Randall over Siakam. It's again Scotty Barnes. I feel like is the centerpiece of their team, and you know, I'm gonna say it again. He's what I think people want RJ Barrett to be. He's slashing, he's scoring, he's dunking on people, he's playing hard nosed defense. He's in the summer leagues putting that work in. We've seen him putting that work in through the summer. And and OG's tough, but I think Grimes could do well against him. So I think this is a team we could do 3-1 against. If
Mhm.
we went 4-0, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, man, I'm hoping this team is tanking and they're getting that fire sale going, and that makes it easy to get another win or two against them. And and potentially we're looking at OG in the free agency.
I mean, there was reports that he said he wasn't going to resign. He's not signing an extension.
Well,
He's going to
hence why I'm talking about him. I saw that.
right. And they lost Van Vliet, so maybe the general manager will get cold feet. He's usually tough minded and has his heels dug in on these players and who he's trading and who he's not. But he lost Van Vliet for nothing. So you know, I don't know. He might be willing to pull the trigger, but I agree with you. I don't think the Knicks, I don't think the Knicks are gonna be in on that. And if they are, they're gonna have to pay through the nose.
Yep, it's a tax.
Yeah, for sure.
Major tax.
Yeah. Sam, I guess you can answer all three questions too: the division series matchup and just how you think individual matchups and team matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should go at least 3-1 versus Toronto. I think the loss of Van Vliet is big for the Raptors. You know what I mean? He was kind of there, like, obviously the leader out there on the floor. I
Mhm.
think he even set the tone sometimes defensively. You know what I mean? Headstrong player. I think he was that guy. So I think that's a big loss. And no slight to Dennis Schroeder. I think Dennis Schroeder is a good player, heck of a ball player, but I don't think he brings the mental toughness and those things that Dennis Schroeder did. And that's kind of what that Fred Van Vliet brings. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what Toronto is like. That's what they've been made of. Like that's been who they were over the last few years. So I think they lost the leader of that and Fred Van Vliet. You know what I mean? So I think I think, like Shuttle said, I think this is losing Fred VanVleet. I think this is the start of them crumbling and ready to just straight up retool everything. That being said, they still do have a roster that is competitive. You know what I mean? When you look at the matchups, I mean, I think Jalen Brunson should be able to outplay Dennis Schroeder, although Schroeder can have his nights where he can really go off. OG Anunoby and Grimes, that's a tough defensive matchup right there.
Yeah.
RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes, I think, I mean, they probably play to a duel right now. I think Randall's better than Siakam. Pirtle and Mitchell Robinson. I mean, kind of the same guy. Mitchell Robinson, obviously can, get up higher than them and do those type of things. But in this aspect, I think like the Knicks have their leader out there. I don't necessarily look at Siakam as like a floor general leader type of guy that leads the troops. I don't really see Schroeder as being that kind of guy either
Right.
that leads the troops. So I think they're missing that leader. Their bench, it's not bad. Flynn, Gary Trent Jr. But I still think the Knicks, besides Gary Trent Jr., who's really good, I think the Knicks probably have the upper hand on the bench as well. So I think the Knicks should win the series 3-1. What was the third question?
Well, you went through all the individual matchups, so yeah, you pretty much answered it. I was gonna, what matchup are you looking
matchups
forward
that I'm
to?
really
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing in this. I want to see Randall shut down Siakam because Siakam had a monster game against us last year. I don't ever want to see that happen again.
50 piece, I believe, right?
Steph, I want to see RJ go to Canada and say, "Hey, Mr. Canada is here.
There you go.
Okay,
There you go.
Mr. Canada is here. I know I play in the United States and I play for the Knickerbockers, but Mr. Canada's in the building. And do remember, and drop 30 every time you go to Toronto."
Okay. There you go.
I'm going 4-0 with the sweep.
Oh,
I feel like this team not only would you say lack leadership, Sim, I feel like they lack direction.
Okay.
Because like, all right, if I'm coaching that team, I'm gonna probably try to hang my hat on defense and say this is how we're gonna win games. That's one, which I think they have a good defensive roster, especially starting unit, all across the board in the starting unit. So they're gonna have to hang their hat on that. But now, who's your leader? Who's your go-to guy? You know what I mean? Like they say, Barnes is the future, or right now, whatever the case. Siakam has kind of been in that role, almost in a Randall type situation where what I mean, he's had his peaks and valleys in that role, but I'm sure that fan base is looking at it like questionable. Is he a number one guy? You know what I mean, or is he not? So I think there's so many question marks, and you got pending free agencies for both Siakam and OG. Like it's nothing. It's no direction. You don't know what we have here now. If they start extending guys, that might change things. But with everything up in the air, you know what I mean. There's no definitive of, well, all right, this is what we're doing. This is our team. This is our window. You know what I mean. So I feel like it's just too many question marks for them to have that camaraderie as a team. You talked about new coach as well. All these things are going to factor in. I can't really see them having what do they call it, lightning in the bottle, and just having everything fall right for them. So I think it's going to be too many question marks for that team to actually pull things off.
Lack of stability.
But on paper, they have a lot. You know what I mean? And then as far as matchup, I'm going RJ and Barnes. I would even go Grimes and Barnes, because Barnes, like, he liked to talk. You know what I mean? I remember you not him to Grimes. You know what I mean? And I remember his slick talk to RJ as well. So I feel like either one of those guys going against Barnes and kind of making a statement, I'd be happy with.
Yeah. Toronto is one of my sleeper teams in the Atlantic Division. Just where they finished 2 years ago with I mean, I agree. I don't think Schroeder is a Van Vliet, but he's not a slouch either. So Toronto is my sleeper team. I don't think they're going to be ninth this season, but I get your point, Tony. But I see that as potential. Depends on that coach, though. That coach could be somebody that's like, listen, I understand, everything around us, and things can change on a dime, but we really need to focus in. So it really depends on how much they buy in and how strong minded the coach is. But this team on paper, you know, it'll be a challenge. All right, let's move on to the Brooklyn Nets. Dinwiddie, Bridges, Cam Johnson, Finney Smith, Nick Claxton, Dennis Smith Jr. Now, Dennis Smith Jr., I watched him a few games for Charlotte last season. I thought he played well as a backup. He's really settled in, like not looking to be the scorer. Really good pressure defender. Somebody who steals the ball, an assist guy, like really turned his game around, totally different from what we remember in New York. Lonnie Walker the fourth is on that team. Royce O'Neal, Ben Simmons apparently has been looking really sharp. And I think that's Dayron Sharp. And Cam Thomas is situational. I mean, the coach was saying that he's not really looking for guys that can go one-on-one and ISO and score. He's looking for players that can play within the offense. I don't know what that means for Cam Thomas. But just thoughts on New York, Brooklyn. Do you think Brooklyn will be better and pose a little more of a challenge for the Knicks this
First of
season
all,
than last season, or
Steph,
not
I'm
really?
sorry. Steph, I got to
Mhm.
call you out. Who the hell is New York, Brooklyn? What are we really talking about? She called them New York, Brooklyn.
I said New York, Brooklyn. Oh, Brooklyn Nets.
What the hell? New York, Brooklyn? I ain't going to let you slide with that one, Queen.
You know my condition.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
But let's start with you, Shuttle.
All right.
Then Tony, and then Sam. Just your thoughts on Brooklyn with the new and improved Mikal Bridges.
I mean, listen, Brooklyn's cool, but they better not be a threat. I don't care if they in the city or not. Brooklyn's cool, but they better not be a threat. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. And I mean, it's tough because guys like Dinwiddie get up for these games. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why I respect Dinwiddie, because it's like, nah, this is our city, regardless of whatever's going on. And Bridges obviously is an emerging All NBA type player, but if Mitchell Robinson cannot win the battle against Claxton, I don't want to hear nobody talk to me nothing about Mitchell. Please don't even talk to me about it. If we can't beat the Nets and Mitchell Robinson can't get 3 or 4 blocks and score 12, 14 points, get 12 rebounds, like, should be dominating this guy Claxton. Cam Johnson is good. I like him. But again, Brooklyn's cool, but they should not be a threat. I mean, they should barely be a playing team as far as I'm concerned, unless they make some moves. So if we're talking about being a third or fourth seed, Brooklyn shouldn't even be 3-1. That should be like, it should be no less than 3-1 against this team. And that's what it is.
Right.
I mean, unless Ben Simmons takes a pill and he's back to Simmons from 4 years ago, if Ben Simmons turns into all-star Ben Simmons, then it's a different conversation. But if he's the guy he's been the past couple of years, then again, this shouldn't even be close.
And listen, if Ben Simmons is that, you would think that he would start, right? And D. Finney Smith would come off the bench.
Right.
Exactly. And I mean, Finney Smith, I mean, he's respectable, but I mean, really, who in that lineup is going to be sticking Randall? Like, this should be barbecue chicken. Like
It
Randall
might
should.
be Ben Simmons if he's back to form.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he's where he is right there on the bench, Randall should be barbecue chicken when you go to Brooklyn, jerk chicken, all kind of chicken. I mean, Randall should be smoking this team. This should be 30 points easy for Randall against his team with efficient shooting and just dominating. That's what I see.
Okay. All right. Tone and then Sim.
Um, I think Ben Simmons will return to form. I've read that he's gonna be definitively playing the point guard position. So every lineup, with him is probably gonna be a taller lineup with him at the point, and I don't think they really have a true four, but what I mean. He'll be running the point guard spot from what I read. Um, to me, I look at Brooklyn and I feel like they're Toronto with direction. You know what I mean? So all those threats that Toronto has when you're looking at the roster, I feel like they're that dangerous, but they have more stability. They have more they know they have a window. You know what I mean? They know these guys are locked up. You got Bridges already considered untouchable. You know what I mean? There's no question marks as far as with them. So for me, they have no pressure. Um they're a dangerous team to me. You know what I mean? I still think one on head to head we will go 3-1, but as far as the Eastern Conference, I think they can challenge some of those teams under us and avoid the play-in. You know what I mean? So I think they're that talented personally, and yeah, that's my take as far as a matchup. Um, I mean, I do think Randall should dominate. I think Mitchell Roberts should take Claxton personal. So I'll go with RJ and Cam or even Grimes and Bridges as what I mean the matchups I would be looking forward to.
Yeah.
I was saying Grimes is going to have his hands full. They're pretty tall. Bridges Bridges is just what 6'6", right? Cam Johnson is 6'8", I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this Atlantic Division, as someone said earlier, um, it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough.
Tough. It's real tough.
Yeah, this is a tough division. There's no easy nights here. Even if you believe Toronto and Brooklyn are the fourth and fifth, it's not going to be a cakewalk. You know.
Yeah. Um,
Get it done.
I see this Brooklyn team. I think they're going to be competitive, right? Uh, maybe even sneak up on some teams and catch a couple of wins because I think they're going to be competitive. But they kind of remind me of the Knicks before the season that they made the playoffs,
Mm,
right? Where they had a bunch of guys in there. You had RJ, you had Randall, who they brought in. Um, but then you filled out the roster with some veterans and a bunch of guys. You know what I mean? They kind of remind me of that. You got Mikal Bridges, you got Cam Johnson, but everyone else is just like some guys that you're kind of trying out for the future. You know what I mean? Are these guys we're gonna have around? You know, um, you know, so they remind me of that. Now, you know, there's probably more talent with this team than there was with that Knicks team.
mhm,
You know, so if they could fit it together, I think they could be competitive. I think maybe it's possible they could be be in the play-in, and maybe fight their way into the playoffs that way. But that's how I see him. I kind of see him like the way we were back then.
mhm,
And maybe in a couple of years when they, get some more draft picks, get some more free agents, they build that type of a team. Now, if Ben Simmons has that kind of a season, though, I think it could change a lot. because of what he's able to do defensively, how he can help. He's played on some really good Philadelphia teams. You know what I'm saying? So if he's back to that kind of form, I think that changes a little bit for Brooklyn and gives them another player to hang their hat on. But it's kind of where I see him at. Like they got like a vagabond group of guys there, that they picked up, from certain areas, trying to see, okay, can Lonnie Walker, can he step up and become something? Can DSJ reclaim his career and step up and do something? You know what I mean? And that's kind of where the Knicks were back then. That's kind of where they were. Now, like Knicks 100 the GM, a couple other people saying, that they're well coached. And they are, they are well coached, and maybe they can do the job. Maybe they're a step ahead of where the Knicks were back then. Maybe they're where when the Knicks made the playoffs, when they got Tom Thibodeau. So maybe they're that type of a team. And Knicks 100, you said they made the playoffs. I know they made the playoffs, but you got to think about who was on the team for the first half of last year. Right? They made the playoffs, but I mean, they were already in the playoffs when everybody else left. All they had to do was maintain a 500 record for how many games was that? 20 or 30 games or something like that?
Right.
All they had to do was maintain that, so that they could make, be in were they top 6 last year?
They were
6.
They were, and but to their credit, the projections were for them to fall into play in. You know what I mean? So I think they did a little bit more than just maintain. You know what I mean?
I think they maintained at least a 500 record, because I remember looking at it and saying that they maintained a 500 record, they could stay in that. They could stay in it. But 500 records not going to get them top 6.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 500 records going to get them playing status, I think. So I think that's where they are right now as far as matchups. For the Knicks to match up against them, or when we match up against them, Grimes and Bridges is probably the main matchup you're looking at. Randall should dominate. You would hope that Randall would dominate. RJ Barrett and Cam Johnson, I think that's a good matchup too.
Yeah.
That's a good matchup. Now, when you look at their bench though, they have some guys that can have some nights where they explode. Dennis Smith Jr., Lonnie Walker, those guys can, on any given night, one of those guys could explode on you and have a good night.
I got to say, Sim, Brunson's toughness and Dinwiddie's toughness makes that makes the matchup for me. Like as a ball player, like that's what I want to see. I want to see that.
Yeah,
because I can see Dinwiddie talking trash. Brunson just walking, ignoring him, getting the ball back and scoring.
That's
it's throwback. It's throwback.
A matchup right there.
Yeah, no doubt. I would like to see Randall and Simmons. If Simmons is back to form, he would probably be matched up with. They're gonna cross match probably a lot.
That's a tough one.
I would definitely like to see that. Anything else about the division itself before we turn to tonight's game?
No.
Tough division.
Yeah, tough division.
Where do the Knicks finish in the division?
Where? I mean, we better be at least top 3. We better be top 3, right? Boston, Philadelphia, New York.
If it's less than if we don't beat out Philly, fans are going to be very disappointed.
If we don't beat out Philly
and become 2, you don't think.
I mean, how can you be right now? All concessions are Boston and Bucks are looking at as the anointed 1 and 2 seeds.
Right.
So if you're fighting for the number 3 seed, how are you going to do that if you don't beat Philly?
Well, that's true. But after seeing Philly, I think because I think the Knicks can finish 3. And
Right.
I've said it. They can finish 3, but there's no guarantees. Like I'm not sleeping on Philly.
No,
So the Knicks can finish 4th too. I wouldn't be super upset.
right.
Yeah, I mean, because the Knicks could finish 4th and still be 4th in the conference.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, they could finish 3rd in the Atlantic and still be 4th in the conference. You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be that. But for me, they better be top 3. If they're not
Yeah.
top 3
In the division, you mean?
in the division,
Yeah.
Then the season is a disappointment.
yeah, no doubt about that.
It's gonna be a dogfight.
Yeah,
Because the rosters are there for Brooklyn and Toronto. Is just about whether or not it comes together. And I think we have them beat as far as continuity is concerned. We should be able to hit the ground running. Really. Um, Same thing for you, Tone. You have the Knicks finishing in the division 3rd.
Yeah, third, the worst. I agree with that. Like we can't be worse than third. But yeah, I'll go third.
Yeah.
Philly opened my eyes last night, even though they lost. You know what I mean? I was buying into all that turmoil and James Harden and this that. I got to see them play and remember who's on that roster. And again, that was without Embiid. They're going to be better than I was anticipating, regardless of what happens with Harden.
Any concerns about our height or lack thereof? I just want to go back and look at, because when we were talking about Josh Hart or RJ Barrett at the 4 position, we was like, oh, they're going to be playing against backup 4s, and the backup 4s, they're not going to really be that tall. So I just want to go back. Who's the backup 4s? We're talking about possibly Brissett for Boston, Paul Reed for Philly. Those are rugged guys. Brissett, I believe, played for Indiana last season, Indiana Pacers, if I'm not mistaken. And then with Boucher, he's pretty light. I don't think that's going to be an issue. And if Ben Simmons is starting, then Finney Smith would probably play backup 4. So there's some height there with those guys, and if not height, some girth. Any concerns about RJ Barrett and was Josh Hart playing backup power forward in the Atlantic Division?
In the Atlantic Division, no. And like throughout the league, yes.
Exactly. Echo.
yeah. I mean, when I look at like, oh, you said about who playing backup? About RJ Barrett playing a backup power forward.
Him and Josh Hart against Boucher, then
Right.
it's Brissett and Paul Reed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as concerned about this particular lineup, but like they said, across the league, because when I look at the Jason Tatum guys and Jaylen Brown guys, right? You got to throw multiple guys at them to defend them.
Mhm.
And if you only have 2 guys, one guy that you talk about height wise against Tatum, the Knicks literally have one guy that's even close to that height. That's RJ Barrett. I guess Quentin Grimes is 6'5" too, but you need more. I think you need to be able to throw at least another guy at him, and we don't have another guy that's between 6'5" and 6'8" that you can throw at him.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what concerns me. What happens when we play a team that's got a point guard that's 6'5" and a shooting guard that's 6'7" and a small forward that's 6'8" that you got to deal with. That's what concerns me. Just having one more of those guys on this team, I think helps.
Yeah.
And I gonna go back to our show last week, and everything we're talking about now is exactly why I don't see the 3 guard lineups and why the quickly Brunson, Grimes, quickly Brunson, RJ. That's why I don't see those lineups, and not because I'm not fond of quickly. It's just this is why you can't do it. The team is too short.
I hear you. Even if you keep quickly out, I don't know if we're going to be that big or much bigger. If you go
Right.
with Hart, Grimes, and Brunson, we're not going to be that much bigger.
I don't know who else we going with because we don't have nobody.
After
Yeah,
RJ Barrett, that's
yeah. All the other guys that meet the requirements are exhibit 9s, exhibit 10s, two ways, and non-guarantees. So
yeah. And
Brown, get in there.
somebody mentioned in the chat, a few mentioned in the chat about Fournier not being on the depth chart. I just think Fournier is super situational. I just think, last season he played when RJ Barrett was injured. He started. I don't even think that's going to happen this year. I think if RJ Barrett is injured and can't go, I think they're going to go with a 3-guard lineup.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, Steph. ESPN has Evan Fournier in the 5th rotation. They have starters, 2nd unit, 3rd unit, 4th unit. They have Evan Fournier on the 5th unit. Ouch.
Yeah. I don't think,
Ouch.
Tony said, well, I don't want to get too quick. Oh, we only got, let's move on to today's game. What are you looking forward to tonight? What are you looking forward to seeing on offense, if anything, on defense, if anything? And is there any particular player or anything else that you're looking forward to seeing?
A couple people in the chat earlier said Tatum, Porzingis, most of the starters are out.
Yeah. Drew Holiday, Porzingis, Tatum, Brown, that they're all out. But for me in preseason, I think it's just about us, though. Getting our rhythm, with each other.
I mean, I'll say with those guys being out, I'm actually hoping we do see more of the exhibit 10s, the two ways, and not all of them per se, but whoever is the highest on Tibbs' list, you know what I mean? The guys that he's questioning, I hope we see at least one or two of those guys.
Yeah, maybe in the last 3 minutes.
Second half or something. I'm not saying to start the game. He's still going to come out with his starters, you know what I mean? And kind of dominate, but maybe that gets the game out of reach. Maybe we up 20, 30 points, and now it becomes
But do you think
Tibbs is playing his minutes?
I was about to ask, do you think there's anything that happens in tonight's game, whether they're getting blown out, that changes what Tibbs does? It's hard for me to think that there's anything that happens with the other team, because I don't think he cares about whether we win or lose. He's trying to get certain lineups out there so he can see them and what have you. But I don't know. Anybody else think there's anything that can happen tonight that'll change his plan?
You got 8 players coming back that are your top 8 players from last year. Come on, guys. Let's get out there. Let's get some continuity. We want to get out to a fast start this season. You guys are going to play. You guys are going to play together. You know what we do. We're not getting new. We're not getting funky. I don't care about these Exhibit 10 players. They'll play 5 minutes at the end of the game here and there, but Tibbs are going to do what he does. Players are going to play.
Yeah, I think Tom Thibodeau has just a thought about how he's approaching these preseason games, or a plan about how he's approaching it. And he's, regardless who we play or who's out there, he's going to stick with his plan, because I think his plan, leads into who, how he's structuring his lineups and things like that. Certain things that maybe he wants to see from players and all of that. So I think he's going to stick with his plan.
I mean, it does make sense. Maybe he starts sitting guys when we have our back-to-back in the preseason, which I think will be game 3, which might also be against the Celtics. I'm not 100% sure.
All right. What do you look at?
You got Dante coming in. I think is the only thing you may see him get some minutes with the starters a little bit more than you might see the backup shooting guard typically get. But that's it. Oh, and I had meant to tell you earlier, Steph. I looked it up. It's definitely 4 games against the Celtics this year and 4 games in
Okay.
the division.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody? Anything you're looking forward to seeing tonight?
RJ Barrett, fast start. Said it last week. This seems to be a fast start tonight, like it's the beginning of the season. Efficiency, better defense, score your points.
He had a good preseason last season, though. He had a really
Do it
good
again. Do it again. For me, like RJ is the X factor of this season. So I need him to come out and calm me down. RJ, you gotta calm me
Personally, I
down.
need you to calm me down.
I need you to calm me down, because RJ got me stressed. RJ got me stressed because everybody wants him to be a certain level. You did great in the summer. Listen, I need you to do it on the squad where it counts. Take some of the pressure off Brunson. Take some of the pressure off Randall. Make your layups. Make your foul shots. Be more efficient, and play some better defense. That's it. I don't care how many points you score. Just be more efficient and make your layups and play better defense. That's it.
All right. Anybody else? Anything you're looking forward to seeing tonight? Offensively, defensively, rotations, players, coaches.
I mean, I want to see Dante DiVincenzo, and if he can be that backup, one of the backup ball handlers. I know that he can. I've seen him do it, but I want to see it with the Knicks. I want to see if we expand the offense any.
All right, I got a better one for you guys. Is there any growth in Grimes from translation from what he's been working on this offseason? And maybe this is a time where we could see Mitch get fed the ball and try one of these go-to moves he allegedly has worked on. So how about those are 2 good ones. You might as well see it now. You know what I mean? You might not get a chance in the regular season.
Right. What I really want to see, I'm not going to know until about 20, 25 games in, and that is, are the Knicks a better shooting team? That's what I want to know. But it's going to take some time. But I'm with the both of you. I want to see Grimes. If Grimes brings the ball up the court today, I think I'm a faint. Like, that's what I need to see. I need to see Grimes. Right. He said that the coaching staff, including the assistant coaches, talked to him about playing more with the ball. And he knows that he's not going to have a lot of opportunities with, the way Randall, Brunson, and RJ dominates the ball. But they're giving him confidence to do what he did in high school. Get a rebound, dribble the ball, up the court, make plays from himself and others. If he can do that, you won't hear anything from my mouth about Quentin Grimes this season. I just think, he was a little limited last season, and that could just be because they were, spoon feeding him, helping him, just get his footing. But I really need him to help Brunson bring the ball down the court this season. So I'm really looking for Grimes to see how his game expands. I'm looking forward to DiVincenzo because I don't really know him that well. It's just what I've read and what I've heard. I don't really know him that well. So I'm looking to see that. And Mitchell Robinson, I think he has another level to his defensive game, not offensive game. I don't think it's at the Cleveland Cavaliers playoff level. I don't think it's at that level, but I think it's a little bit more than what we've seen, but not at that Cleveland. He was lights out in that Cleveland. So I don't know if we can expect that every night, but I expect him to be a bit more dominant defensively. I think he has another level.
Steph, I'm expecting it. When you score 8-9 points a game, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do to earn your money. You need to be that kind of defensive stopper. I mean, with RJ's defense, with Randall's defense, with Brunson's defense, that's what the Knicks need him to be.
Yeah, I think he has it in him. We shall see.
We shall see.
Anything else? about tonight before we get out of here?
And your boy Grimes, I think he'll be okay. I remember coming to play with the old heads, and you didn't want to do too much. You happy to be out here playing with the old heads. You know what I'm saying, Sim?
Mhm.
You young.
Mhm.
I'm a teenager. I'm playing with the 20-year-old guys. You just want to get out here. You don't want to mess nothing up so that they can let you play the next time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So now that he's proven himself, I think with a season as a starter, I think he comes back more confident, and I think you'll see exactly what you're looking for.
Listen, from your lips to God's ears, man. I need to see that because Brunson is just bringing the ball down on the island. He got all these long wingspan guards guarding him, guys being physical with him, and he's just bringing it down every single time.
Well, of Mitch being improved on offense, with RJ being more efficient, scoring better, playing better defense, or Quentin Grimes doing what you're asking, I'm more confident in Grimes out of those three.
Yeah, I would agree with that. With that. All right. Anything else? Any last words?
No,
Game 1, food's in the oven. Let's go.
That's right. Time to get this game on.
Sim, you got your post-game show tonight?
Post-game show. Yes.
Yep.
And what else?
And the losers.
I was about to ask you, do you have
LL. Hit it with the LL tone. Losers
And
lounge. You
I'll
already
be
know.
doing the morning recap show tomorrow morning, 9 a.m.
Here we go. We back in business.
We back at it.
In business.
I appreciate everybody in the chat. Hit that like button. I don't have another screen up. We got 170 people watching. Let's see on the way out if we can get them likes up to 100. It helps the channel. Not that Sim needs that much help with the channel, but it helps the channel. So
helps the channel.
Put those likes up there. All right. Until next time, family.
All right.
That's the G.
5 minutes.